Okay guys, hey, welcome back to the channel. I got my customary beer, you know, Saturday and everything. So yeah, there's been a couple things going on. I went, first of all, cheers to anybody that's actually having one. Cheers to you guys. We'll just put that down there. So I went and do a little you know, thrifty shopping and such this morning. I couldn't bring the wife. The wife had to work today, so, but I went and did a little thrifty shopping. And you know, you go to these places, you see all this stuff. It's pretty cool. You can get things can get a little out of control, but I had a specific purpose in mind. So my purpose today was to go and actually look for some propane stuff, because I don't really have any propane lanterns. All my lanterns are Coleman, which are gas pressure lanterns. You know how that stuff goes. And by the way, you know, my bird again, Chico, he's a character, that guy. But I found this, and this, not this cylinder. You know, everybody's seen these like green camping cylinders. Everybody's seen this. But this thing, this thing is the most aggravating device, I think, besides a weed eater, that I've ever worked on. And I want to tell you where that statement comes from. I'm just gonna, first of all, when it comes to delivery pressure of the gas from a propane cylinder, the delivery pressure is based on the pressure that it was instilled into the tank. In other words, depending on the region where you're located, you know, this thing could have 11 inches of water column, 13 inches of water column, 14, 17, 9. Just to put things into perspective, 24 inches of water column is 1 pound per square inch. So 24 inches of water column, 1 psi. The nominal delivery pressure of propane is supposed to be between 13 and 14 inches of water column. And this is where the problem with propane devices like this lie. And it is the fact that we have a medium of pressure delivery that has no control over the airflow afterwards. So we have an, hi funny bunny, look, there's a rabbit. Isn't he cute? What you doing, bud? I see you over there. I know you're there. Good funny bunny. What you doing, bud? Oh, he's gone. See ya. You gotta like wildlife. There's lots of it around here. Anyways, we'll just try and get the shot, the angle back and everything. So yeah, we'll just do this. So this is what's going on. You've got an inconsistent delivery pressure, or what seemingly enough to me is an inconsistent delivery pressure based on how the cylinder was loaded. And you've got a system which is non-variable. And I thought I got lucky. And there's this little wheel here that, I don't know, I'm gonna come in behind here. I'm gonna try and get a close-up of this. This little, you see that? Look at that. I can open and close like an air window. Right? Okay, whoa, great. Isn't that something else? Well, I'm going to be quite honest with you. I really am. That doesn't count for a pinch of coon shit. The problem is that the system was designed in the region it was developed, marketed, and sold. This particular lantern happens to be marketed, designed, and manufactured in Brazil. So I can only imagine the difference in, you know, what they have for cylinder pressures, or the way they instill or manufacture their propane cylinders, their small propane delivery systems in Brazil. However, I understand that it needs to be reasonably close. But the difference between 7 inches of water column delivery pressure and 15 inches of water column delivery pressure are things that amount of airflow cannot deal with. And so this becomes a fight with the pressure that's coming out of the cylinders. That's exactly what it is. Like, for example, I tried to operate this lantern with this cylinder. This is a Coleman cylinder. I bought this cylinder at Walmart. I got 4 of them. I think it was like 15, well, no, it was $15.99 a pair. I mean, after all, I am in Canada, right? We're in the land of getting ripped off. But this lantern would not operate on this cylinder. So that's become my trusty lantern lamp lighting cylinder for. But it's kind of funny because when I hook that cylinder up to the torch, this is what makes me laugh. When I hook this cylinder up to the torch is more aggressive. When I hook this cylinder up to the lantern is so aggressive that it just overburns and the flames are shooting at the top, and you got to regulate the valve rate down to nothing. Like, it is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It's ass backwards is what it is. So I'm trying to understand what's going on here, and I decided to just take it apart, take the entire system apart and look at it and see what is going on. So there is a primary orifice. First of all, there's a pin that goes into the cylinder it screws in here, right in this area. There's a threaded bit that goes in there. There's a seal that seals to the top of the tank. The pin goes in. That pin has an orifice size that's regulated by however much delivery pressure. It's like mandatory. They can't make devices that are going to like go crazy and like blow up every time you try and light them. That goes in and it comes in contact with this valve, which is a pointed needle valve that can open and close and cut the flow of gas off. And the air doesn't get introduced until just under here. And then there's air all around this area here as well. And so the fuel and primary air goes in here. And here goes the fuel and air mixture up into where the mantle is. And the secondary air provides air for the combustion process. But like in here, there is a secondary orifice. And this secondary orifice is so small that I had to put an incredibly bright light up to it in order to be able to see that there was even an opening. As a matter of fact, putting like pressurized carburetor / brake cleaner into the backside of this orifice to blow it through to find out if it was clean wouldn't work because of how small this orifice is. And it was frustrating. And not only that, there was some sort of non-combustible packing that was neither metal, it wasn't foam, it wasn't, I don't know what the hell this stuff was. It wasn't ceramic. It was like cloth. It was almost like cloth, but a non-combustible cloth. And it wasn't asbestos. I know it wasn't because I've never seen black asbestos in my life, particularly not in a fuel path prior to the combustion process. So this stuff is black. And I'm like, what is this? Why is it in there? I took the secondary orifice out. I removed this material, put the orifice back in, put the lantern back together, and lit it, and it had so much overburn, it was ridiculous. There was no way to control it. It was like outrageous. Like flames were, like it was like, holy shit, man, what am I gonna do? Okay, well that stuff obviously needs to be there. But the issue is it's about the amount of that stuff. The problem is that every single difference in delivery pressure from every single different cylinder that you screw this onto has a different effect on the amount of packing that's in that secondary orifice. I honestly believe this is the problem with propane. When it comes to propane and lanterns and anything with a mantle and in a propane delivery system where air and fuel mixture is important, this is the issue. I mean, I pull it out, I'd cut a bit off, I'd shove it back in loosely. Oh, look, it actually lights up. It makes some, you know, it's making good light. Maybe if I compress that a little bit, it might restrict it a little bit more, and the fuel delivery will be slower while the oxygen level remains the same. Look, I've got it adjusted to full. You know, let's try that. You put a little bit more pressure into it, compact it a little more, you put it all back together, you try it again. If you can imagine, it gets worse. It gets to the point where it won't even light the mantle up. So you take it apart again. Well, it'll light. It'll light the top part right where the fuel comes out of the the burner nozzle with all the holes in it. You know, normally in a Coleman lantern, there's a piece with a screen there. That's the burner nozzle that you tie the mantle onto. And I'm not telling you that I'm frustrated with this, but I'm telling you the reasons why you shouldn't mess around with propane devices that were manufactured outside of North America. That's all. This was manufactured in Brazil. It has, and you'll excuse me for my glasses, it has a Therwex, Therwex, borosilicate glass, made in Brazil. And after I got looking at it and taking it apart, it's got the Therwex glass, the borosilicate glass, made in Brazil, and I found some markings on the remainder of the lantern that proved that it was manufactured in Brazil. So I got the thing to a point where you could actually, you know, adjust the damn thing, at least to the point. Oh, that smells good. I love the smell of propane, by the way. There goes the money rabbit again. But I got the thing where it would actually work. The problem is that it'll work with one cylinder, but not another. And if I put this cylinder under it, I screw this nice Coleman cylinder, nice brand new, good looking cylinder onto here, this thing will not function. So I have this old cylinder that's like, I don't know, it's like 2/3 full. It's been sitting around for God knows how long. But you know what? I'm going to show you. The damn thing works. Well, I figured out the amount of packing that I needed to get it to work, and it worked good. But it is just a pain in the freaking arse. So if you're going to work on propane stuff, trust me, you're going to meet with some opposition. Unless it was manufactured on North American soil, where they've actually taken this, I believe, this particular problem into consideration. So here we go. Are you going to give me a hard time now again? It doesn't look like it's going to cooperate. It looks like it's going to overburn again. It was working great 10 minutes ago. You really are going to be uncooperative, aren't you? And this is like a question of adjustment. And the son of a bitch I had this thing lit 20 minutes ago. And it's still got overburned like crazy. Man. The only redeeming quality that this lantern has for the friggin' like 15 or 20 bucks, it came in a big package deal that I did. The only redeeming quality that this lantern has is it's got the made in Brazil borosilicate glass, and that particular glass is the same size as a Coleman 200. So I can use this glass in a Coleman 200, but this thing is just, it's mental. How much more do I need to do? Like, now this cylinder doesn't like to cooperate. What, did it warm up or something? Like, come on, guys. Like, look, I can get it to light up bright, but it's not, you know, I had it sounding like a champ. It was like, and it was bright, and that was like, you know, 2.5 hours ago. Does it have anything to do with it? And like this makes it worse. Like, if I open this up and I close off the oxygen, it gets even more overburned. So it is lacking air for the amount of fuel that's going into it. There's no question. And you know, when the thing's just a bit ready to go out, it brightens up and you can hardly hear any fuel going into it. It just tells me that there's a lack of airflow. I've had this apart. I've cleaned it with pipe cleaners 9 ways to Sunday. There's no way there's an obstruction in the air path, okay? Like, let's not even go there. This is the most aggravating thing. I'm telling you straight up. If you're gonna buy a propane lantern of any kind, buy a currently manufactured one or something that's less than 20 years old and something that's made by Coleman. Because I have one Coleman propane lantern that was manufactured in 1974 and it never fails to light no matter what friggin' cylinder it's on. This thing is messed up. I don't know what to tell you, but all I can say is thanks for watching, guys. I'm not trying to warn anyone. What I'm saying is be prepared. If you want to get into learning about stuff and figuring things out, and you know, you want to figure this stuff out. Like, the problem with propane is it's about, and it has to be absolutely correct, it's about fuel and air delivery. I mean, at least with a Coleman lantern, you can replace the gas orifice on the tip of the generator. You can put a new tip on, you can buy a new, you know, the needle, the rod that goes up and down with the cleaning needle. You can put a new, like, spring and packing. This is, like, who are you going to order it from? Brazil? You know, not that I don't think it's cool, because it would be great if it worked correctly, but it doesn't. And every different cylinder you put it on makes it work even weirder. It's just frustrating. Thanks for looking.